Hey, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg. I'm so glad you could join us today. Join me, I should say. I'm always the collective we over here, the royal we. Today's video is going to be not a long one. Can you believe that? So don't start a big, long task that you like to just listen to in your earbuds while you're cleaning or doing your laundry. I wanted to show you some of the recent New York Review of Book Classics titles that I picked up for my collection. These were picked up during one of the last sales that they had. They recently had one, which I think today, Friday the 5th, December 5th, is the last day for their big sale. I added a few to the cart. I haven't checked out it, mostly because I have pretty much picked over NYRB classics and gotten everything that I need or want in the realms of history, literature, essays, that kind of stuff. So, until they, put out some new ones, I think this is where I'm going to land for a while with my NYRB Classics collection. So, having said that, let's just head in and dive right into the first one here. We've got My Century by Aleksander Wat. Forward by Czesław Miłosz. I'll do this over here so you can see it better, but let me read to you real quick what this one's about. And when I read the description, I had never heard of Aleksander Wat, but I read this description and I was like, this is a book I definitely want to read. In My Century, the great Polish poet Aleksander Wat provides a spellbinding account of life in Eastern Europe in the midst of the terrible 20th century. Based on interviews with Nobel Prize winner Czesław Miłosz, My Century describes the artistic, sexual, and political experimentation in which Wat was a major participant that followed the end of World War I. An explosion of talent and ideas, which he argues in some ways helped to open the door to the destruction that the Nazis and Bolsheviks soon visited upon the world. But Wat's book is at heart a story of spiritual struggle and conversion. He tells of his separation during World War II from his wife and young son, of his confinement in the Soviet prison system, of the night when the sound of far-off laughter brought on a vision of, quote, the devil in history, end quote. It was then, Watt writes, that I began to be a believer. So this is one I definitely wanted to add into my my extensive NYRB collection. Yeah, so let me know if you've read this one or have heard of it. The next one is a work of literature, and this is The Communist by Guido Morselli, with an introduction by Elizabeth Mackenzie. These are just beautiful. I love the artwork they select for these covers. I never understand why they do, but it works. Walter Farinini has been born and bred a man of the left. His father was a worker and an anarchist. Walter himself is a communist. In the 1930s, he left Mussolini's Italy to fight Franco in Spain. After Franco's victory, he left Spain for exile in the United States. With the end of the war, he returned to Italy to work as a labor organizer and to build a new revolutionary order. Now, in the late 1950s, Walter is a deputy in the Italian parliament. He is not happy about it. Parliamentary proceedings are too boring for words. The Communist Party seems to be filling up with ward healers, time servers, and profiteers. For Walter, the political has always taken precedence over the personal, but now there seems to be no refuge for him anywhere. The Puritanical Party disapproves of his relationship with Nuccia, a tender, quizzical, deeply intelligent editor who is separated but not divorced, while Walter is worried about his health, haunted by his past and increasingly troubled by knotty questions of both theory and practice. Walter is, always has been, and always will be a communist. He has no doubt about that, and yet something has changed. Communism no longer explains the life he is living, the future he hoped for, or perhaps most troubling of all, the life he has led. So that, again, appealed to me. I'm always trying to understand the appeal of communism. It's something I don't get, but it fascinates me why others have just, in history have glommed onto it. So, and just, anyway, it sounds interesting. So I picked it up. Oh, yes. So I've got 2 books here by the same author that I wanted to add to my library of Russian writers. This was a Polish writer, this last one, but these are both works of literature. And this is by Andrey Platonov. This is The Foundation Pit. Sorry for the glare there. Afterword by Robert Chandler and Olga Mirsin. These are all works in translation. Let's see here. Yeah, and these are the translators. So in Andrey Platonov's The Foundation Pit, a team of workers has been given the job of digging the foundation of an immense edifice, a palatial home for the perfect future that they are convinced is at hand. But the harder the team works, the deeper they dig, the more things go wrong. And it becomes clear that what is being dug is not a foundation, but an immense grave. Foundation Pit is Platonov's most overtly political book, written in direct response to the staggering brutalities of Stalin's collectivization of Russian agriculture. It is also a literary masterpiece. Seeking to evoke unspeakable realities, Platonov deforms and transforms language in pages that echo both with the alienating doublespeak of power and the stark simplicity of prayer. This English translation is the first and only one to be based on the definitive edition published by Pushkin House in Moscow. It includes extensive notes and in an appendix, several striking passages deleted by Platonov. Robert Chandler and Olga Mirsin's afterword discusses the historical context and style of Platonov's most haunted and troubling work, The Foundation Pit. Yeah. If you're a new viewer, let me just say it's one of my, I've been doing this now for 6 years or something, and longtime viewers know Russian history, the history of communism, Bolshevism, Tsarism. I mean, I love Russian history. Just to try to understand, like, one of the world's most diabolical ideologies, how it came about and how people lived through it, and then the Russian literature that kind of just emitted from this orgy of Stalin's brutalities, his collectivization, his purges, his massacres, his famines, the famines he created. These are all things that I find extremely instructive and interesting, and things that we should all know about, I think. But it's something it's my niche kind of thing. American Civil War, Russian history are 2 big ones with me. But also History of Warfare is also another one. Okay, so the next big book here by Andrey Platonov is Chevengur. This is a really big book. It translated again by Robert Chandler, and this time with Elizabeth Chandler, so their husband and wife. So this is a big, meaty novel, well over 500 pages. Chevengur is a revolutionary novel about revolutionary ardor and despair. Zakhar Pavlovich comes from a world of traditional crafts to work as a train mechanic, motivated by his belief in the transformative power of industry. His adopted son, Sasha Divanov, embraces revolution, which will transform everything. The words we speak and the lives we live, souls and bodies, the soil underfoot and the sun overhead. Seeking communism, Divanov joins up with Stepan Kopyankin, a warrior for the cause whose steed is the fearsome cart horse named Strength of the Proletariat. Together they cross the steppe, encountering counter-revolutionaries, desperados, and visionaries of all kinds. At last they reach the isolated town of Chevengur. There, communism is believed to have been achieved because everything that is not communism has been eliminated. Think about that. And yet, even in Chevengur, the revolution recedes from sight. Comic, ironic, grotesque, disturbingly poetic in its use of language, and profoundly sorrowful, Chevengur Here published in a New English translation based on the most authoritative Russian text, is the most ambitious of the extraordinary novels that the great Andrey Platonov wrote in the 1920s and 30s, when Soviet Russia was moving from revolutionary euphoria to state terror. Again, as you can tell, these are all things that are up my reading alley, as it were. So I wanted to add these two novels by Platonov to what I have. I think NYRB has a couple more by him, but these were the ones that most interested me. I picked this one up because I had seen other people talking about it. This was probably last year. I am way behind in getting this book. I know I saw Johnny Keene was reading it and was into it. And so I wanted to finally pick it up for myself. And that is Lies and Sorcery by Elsa Morante, translated by Jenny McPhee. It's a big, big novel. Look at that. All right, let me give you a little rundown. Elsa Morante is one of the titans of 20th century literature. Natalia Ginsburg said she was the writer of her own generation that she most admired, and yet her work remains little known in the United States. Written during World War II, Morante's celebrated first novel, Lies and Sorcery, is in the grand tradition of Stendhal, Tolstoy, and Proust, spanning the lives of 3 generations of wildly eccentric women. The story is set in Sicily and told by Elisa, orphaned young and raised by a fallen woman. For years, Elisa has lived in an imaginary world of her own. Now, however, her guardian has died, and the young woman feels that she must abandon her fantasy life to confront the truth of her family's tortured and dramatic history. Elisa is a seductive, if less than reliable, spinner of stories, and the reader is drawn into a tale of secrets, intrigue, and treachery, which, as it proceeds, is increasingly revealed to be an exploration of a legacy of political and social injustice. So I wanted to give it a whirl. It's a big one, like I said. But when you get these sales from NYRB Classics and the titles are 40% off, this is the only time I can shop their stuff, is during their sales. So wanted to pick up that one. This one is. Are these essays? Yes, these are selected essays. I do enjoy a good collection of essays. And this is The Bad Side of Books, selected essays by D.H. Lawrence, edited and with an introduction by Jeff Dwyer. So, yeah, I love a good essay collection. You could describe D.H. Lawrence as the great multi-instrumentalist among the great writers of the 20th century. He was a brilliant, endlessly controversial novelist who transformed the way we write about sex and emotions. He was a wonderful poet. He was an essayist of burning curiosity and radical intelligence, equaled perhaps only by Virginia Woolf. Interesting. Here, Jeff Dyer, one of the finest essayists of our day, reintroduces Lawrence to a new generation of readers. We get Lawrence, the book reviewer. That's what I can't wait to read, that essay. Writing about death in Venice and welcoming Ernest Hemingway. Lawrence, the travel writer in Mexico and New Mexico and Italy. Lawrence, the memoirist, depicting his strange, sometime friend Maurice Magnus. Lawrence, the restless inquirer, writing about the novel and morality and the question of why the novel matters. And finally, the Lawrence who meditates on birdsong or the death of a porcupine in the Rocky Mountains. Dyer's selection of Lawrence's essays is a wonderful introduction to a fundamental, dazzling writer. Now, I have to admit, I have not read really any of D.H. Lawrence's works. I'm very aware of them. Actually, let me take that back. I tried reading Lady Chatterley's Lover once, and I had to stop because it was it was so cringy. I'm sorry. I mean, I tell me if there was something there that I was supposed to get besides it just being like the most controversial, open and honest take on like men and women having sex and illicit sex because it was outside of marriage. But I just didn't get the appeal. Now I know if you're a big D.H. Lawrence fan, will you tell me in the comments below which book you think I should maybe try again with? I just don't think Chatterley's Lover is the one that would reveal to me the man's genius. So if you guys have a suggestion, please drop it down below. But in the meantime, I would like to discover his essays and just get a feel for his writing. That Lady Chatterley's Lover just kind of turned me off. I'd like to give him another try. And so I'm going to look at his essays, but I would like to know which book of his, outside of that, that romp in the barn, as it were, type of book. Let me know in the comments below. But I was glad to add this one to the library. And finally, this is probably my most my shortest video in a long time. This one won the Pulitzer Prize. It won a bunch of different awards, and I'm like, Peggy, you've got to get it. So I picked up, of course, The Netanyahus by Joshua Cohen. An account of a minor and ultimately even negligible episode in the history of a very famous family. Look at all these things. Boom, award. Boom, award. Boom, award. So I had to pick it up. Let's see here. It won a ton of awards in 2021. Corbin College, not quite upstate New York, winter 1959 to 60. Reuben Bloom, a Jewish historian, but not an historian of the Jews, is co-opted onto a hiring committee to review the application of an exiled Israeli scholar specializing in the Spanish Inquisition. Did you catch all that? When Benjamin Netanyahu shows up for an interview, family unexpectedly in tow, Bloom plays the reluctant host to guests who proceed to lay waste to his American complacencies. Mixing fiction with nonfiction, the campus novel with the lecture, The Netanyahus is a wildly inventive, genre-bending comedy of blending identity and politics that finds Joshua Cohen at the height of his powers. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this one out. I've been getting more and more into like academic novels. I've actually been finding that I'm really intrigued by them. And along the way, some dark academia novels as well. But I do like books that are set around academics, the campus, writers, just things of that nature. I love just that whole atmosphere, that environment. So I think The Netanyahus will be a good read. If you've read it, let me know what you think in the comments below. But now I can do a pyramid because I can actually lift these books. With all the new history books that I show on this channel, it's really hard for me to lift 20 books in one and get it in the frame of the picture. And plus it's just, obscene. It's an obscene number of books, but these are the new additions to my NYRB Classics library. I'm really happy to have them. I've been moving around my NYRB Classics. They're on floating shelves on the wall right now. They're not on bookcases. So, and they have moved a couple times in my bedroom. I'd like to use my GoPro, which I have not yet. I'm sorry, and I need to. I'm going to use my GoPro to maybe do some of those, take this out into the world, into the personal library of Peg, and show you some of the other book locations. I'm sure you guys would love to get a peek at that. Maybe some of the dogs would make an appearance. But I'll show you how I kind of display these beautiful NYRB books, and I love the colored spines. I'm really pleased with my library. If I decide to buy the ones I have in my cart for this last day of the sale today, of course I'll show them to you when they arrive. I have only 4 in there because I want to get that 40% off. But I'm thinking about it. But I pretty much have gotten everything that I want, I think. There are a couple in that. There's a couple in that cart that I really do want, though. So let's see if Peg can exercise either restraint or not. start laying bets, everybody. But anyway, thanks for joining me for this short video. Remember to like, subscribe, and all that good jazz. And by the way, guys, let me check this out. What? I've got new recording software. I got a Black Friday deal. Like and subscribe, baby. And I've been playing with some stuff, and let's just say that I couldn't do it all without you guys, and so I want to give you guys a round of applause. All right. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun with this as we move forward. There's some bells and whistles in here, and I'm just like a kid in the candy store. So I finally have a real studio to work in and record in. So what? Anyway, guys, I am Peg at the History Shelf. Let me know what you think about these things below. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what books you have, what what genres most interest you from the New York Review of Books Classics. But anyway, thanks for joining me today. I'll be back soon, and I have a ton of books. Okay. They've just been rolling in here. But anyway, there's my name right there. Check that out. All right. Anyway, guys, I'm having fun. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day and a great weekend. Bye.